Listen to me. If there was a wise man who would ever think of this, they would say in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. For I am the man himself.
Ladies and gentlemen, hola, ¿cómo estás? Muy bien. ¿Y tú? Try to remember some of the years of Spanish that I did in school from 2nd to 12th grade it was, because we're here for my review of Friday Night SmackDown. Not only did it take place on March 14th, 2025, but it took place overseas in Barcelona, Spain. That's right, we have begun a European tour, and instead of doing just house shows, we are getting some episodes of Raw and SmackDown the next couple of weeks out overseas, such as next week's SmackDown is going to be in Bologna, Italy, as Paul Heyman kept emphasizing. And we are, this coming Monday, which is tomorrow, getting Raw from, I think, Brussels, Belgium, I believe it is. If I butchered that, I completely apologize. Where, we will be getting the first promo of John Cena since he turned heel tomorrow. Since he turned heel back on March the 1st at Elimination Chamber. Which, honestly, we need that segment because Cody's segments are getting so repetitive. And it's worse that he's appearing on like pretty much every single show, Raw and SmackDown, for some reason. So, yeah, it's going to be nice to finally see that feud kindly get some legs to it as we do get that first promo from John Cena on Raw tomorrow. But we're not here to talk about Raw yet. We're here to talk about this week's episode of SmackDown. Overall, here's my thoughts on SmackDown. Does it have some legs to it right now? Yes. We have like some juice to it with it being WrestleMania season. Are there some good things? Yes. Are there some mad things? Yes. Is 3 hours still not the answer? Yes. I can't wait because they're still saying that this is supposed to be only for 6 months, and then starting in the summer, it was going back to 2 hours, or maybe it was like so much. Depends on the show or whatnot. I don't know. But this SmackDown roster, even with some of the additions from the transfer window, or whatever they called it, even though there's still some people appearing here and there on both shows, it's starting to bother me just a little bit, even though one of them led to a really good match on this episode of SmackDown tonight, this past Friday, which we'll talk about. But either way, my point being said is that there's no depth in this SmackDown roster. Like, people are saying how Shinsuke Nakamura's U.S. title reign was a total bust. I agree. But there's also the thing of, like, is there really anybody for him to feud with? Like, people who aren't occupied right now, is there really someone that credible for LA Knight to feud for WrestleMania? Like, they're still doing Braun Strowman and Jacob Fatu, so I guess, is Jacob Fatu going to get that match? Like I said, my pitch last week was, if you want to give LA Knight something to do, since he's kind of been involved with The Miz recently, have a tag match with Melo Don't Miz, LA Knight, and Joe Hendry, as a way to get Joe Hendry on the show, which would be a nice surprise for sure for WrestleMania. And, of course, the partnership with WWE and TNA, do something about it for WrestleMania. That, or bring in the Hardy Boys. Who they would fight, I have no idea, but hey, they could wrestle our new tag team champions, the Street Profits. About time to put the tag titles back on them. But we'll see. But yes, again, we are here recording this review. Again, there was no live streams this past week because I did have a couple extra videos I did, such as the AEW Revolution review and the NXT Roadblock review. So I thought I'd take a break from live streams and just record. Because as I mentioned before, sometimes me pre-recording is easier. That way I can record them when I have the right energy, and then do the other odds and ends like the uploading and the thumbnail and the descriptions later. That way, I can do it at a time where I got the energy and we can move on. But as I keep saying is, I wanted to be able to make sure I went live more this year because I have cut back on live streams the past couple of years. So this coming week, we will go back to a live stream of Raw. And the following weekend, I will remind us about the following week, how I will not be reviewing SmackDown on the March 28th edition, and I will not be reviewing the March 31st edition of Raw. I do have to go out of town that weekend for another business trip, so because I have to get up very early that Saturday morning, and I'm getting back sometime on Tuesday, and it's going to be kind of like a on-the-go trip, basically, I'm just going to take a break from Raw and SmackDown that weekend, and then just start back up with SmackDown that Friday. Maybe I'll do that one live, but we'll see. But without further ado, let's talk about this week's episode of SmackDown. Like I keep saying, it's not getting any worse with the 3-hour format. It's not really getting any better. But there's some juice to it. Some things that are intriguing for sure. But first, before we get started, a quick news topic I want to talk about. Apparently, this was the last episode of SmackDown where Lillian Garcia will be the full-time ring announcer. Apparently, she will not be doing SmackDown's ring announcer. Who the replacement is yet, I don't know. Maybe they got somebody new, who knows, or they're going to move Mike Rome back to SmackDown and put someone new on NXT. I don't know. But Lillian apparently is focusing more on some other WWE projects, which she already was doing before they brought her back when Samantha Irvin left. And apparently she will be, though, the ring announcer for whatever they do the 4 times a year Saturday night's main event, which the next one they're doing is, I believe, May 24th, I think is the next one they're doing. She will be ring announcing there. I figure this is going to be temporary. I know Lillian Garcia is occupied with a lot of other things away from ring announcing. Like, she's done her work as a ring announcer. Like, she doesn't have anything left to prove with it. And if she wants to do other projects, that's fine. That's fine by me. And of course, she has the right to do that. So I do wish her the best of luck. And I do look forward to seeing her when she does appear on Saturday night's main event, as she definitely is a legendary ring announcer. A couple other little vignettes aired during the show as well for 2 stars to either be debuting / returning to WWE very soon, which we'll talk about those when we do get to them and go from there. And don't be going too nuts like my dogs are running back and forth throughout the house while my wife and my son try to nap. So, anyways, let's talk about this episode of SmackDown. We open up the show with the new United States Champion, L.A. Knight. Yeah! He was doing a few yeahs to get the hot crowd pumped up before he does the whole, let me talk to ya. It is the first SmackDown in Spain. He may be U.S. champion, but by God, he's worldwide, and it's been too long since he held a title, but now it's back in his hands with everybody saying, and he gets interrupted by Jimmy Uso, who says, yo, I'm not out here to congratulate you. I'm just desperate because my road to WrestleMania is running short. I'm tired of the speed bumps. But he's figured it out. He wants to challenge LA Knight for the United States Championship right here in Barcelona. So I'm like, okay. Then we have Solo Sikoa, Tama Tonga, and Jacob Fatu come out. And Solo says, if anybody deserves a title shot, and I'm like, please don't say you, Solo. You obviously do not. He says, it's Jacob Fatu. I'm like, yes, that's very reasonable. He mentions how LA Knight recently stole a pin and kept Jacob from the world title and for bringing it back to the family. So now they're going to take his. And then he tells Jimmy Uso, it's good to see you, but you should step aside since you're the failure of the family. And then Jimmy's like, I'm the biggest failure? He's done. I tell you what, biggest failure for me is trusting you as a brother, and The bigger failure is you losing the Ulafala to the tribal chief, Roman Reigns, which I got a big reaction because that's very true. Again, they basically have made Solo look like an absolute loser or loser. And also, I must quote Mr. Cena and say how desperation is a stinky cologne, Mr. Big Jim Uso. Remember when he pulled that line on John Laurinaitis back in 2012? Someone should say that to Cena with this heel character now that he's obviously hitting desperation. Tell John Cena that desperation is a stinky cologne. But anyways, and I also always loved how he made fun of Laurinaitis going, oh. I thought, even though that was a ridiculous feud and ridiculous matches they had, of course, that still made me laugh when I did see that segment. But anyways, so they obviously are trying to state that, and Jimmy Uso just talks down Solo, and then that's when he kind of paid the price. So it was a 3-on-2 beatdown until Braun Strowman made the save, came out, and then basically was an even fight. And then Nick Aldis came out. And when Nick Aldis came out, I'm like, he's going to make this a 6-man tag, right? Right? Part of me was kind of hoping for a swerve in my mind, yeah, swerve, whatever heck Swerve's theme song goes. But I wanted him to pull out a Swerve's house and give us a swerve. And instead of maybe doing a 6-man tag, do like some sort of like a 5-man or you know, like a triple threat or something, just something different for the crown new number 1 contender for the United States Championship, right? Nope, we get a 6-man tag instead. So I'm just like, lovely. So we have that. Match was what it was, another 6-man tag. The baby faces do win with Braun Strowman power slamming and pinning Tama Tonga. But after that, the fighting continues, and eventually it basically leads to an eventual beatdown with Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman. They even brawled backstage a little and whatnot. And then yeah, that basically is setting up for another match with Jacob Fatu and Braun Strowman next week. Surprised they didn't have this be last man standing. So, if LA Knight is not doing the idea I pitched about him tagging with Joe Hendry against Melo Adult Miz, maybe we're getting Jacob Fatu and LA Knight for the US title at Mania. Maybe, I don't know, we'll see. But Jacob's probably going to get some sort of a spotlight for WrestleMania. By next year's WrestleMania, he's going to have a bigger role in the company. They're like just getting started with him in a singles push. So, we'll see where that goes. We also get a video package from last week's segment with Bianca Belair, Naomi, and Jade Cargill. So Jade sits down and is interviewed for the first time since she returned. She mentioned she's physically okay and she's ready to go. Seeing Naomi cry like she's the victim is pathetic to her. She doesn't need a handout. Naomi tried to dictate what she got. Asked why she didn't say anything, she explains that when she got pushed, all she remembered was being hit from behind and thrown into a car and seeing Naomi run away. Which, again, getting back to, what myself and I know a few others have been saying, does that mean Naomi was the one? Yes, Naomi admitted it, but this is a thing like we see in like SVU, wherever there's a lot of people who like try to take the fall for someone else they care about at first, or they're being basically bribed to take the fall for. And we find out eventually when the other person has like all the power in the world and basically thinks that, they got away with it, if it weren't for the meddling kids, then we find out the truth. Because Jade never saw any footage. She just saw Naomi running away. She doesn't know for sure, though, if it was Naomi who pushed her. And again, every time she's beaten down on Naomi so far, Naomi basically has not fought back. She basically has taken it like she's a hopeless victim. Just saying. I still don't think it was Naomi. You gotta show me footage proof for me to 100% believe it was Naomi. Or again, I'm just in complete denial. But anyway, she continues on talking and whatnot, talking smack about Naomi, and then Liv and Raquel happen to walk by, and they, from down lower in the arena, because it was not the arena interview, and they start bickering. That sets up for a match next week with Jade and Liv. Okay. B-Fab then cuts a promo about building her own legacy, and she's getting ready to fight Charlotte Flair. B-Fab does have a match with Charlotte Flair. Again, I knew B-Fab had no chance of winning this, again, especially against Charlotte Flair, but she's improving. I'm giving her the credit where credit is. She is improving, but Charlotte does win with the figure eight. Afterwards, though, Charlotte was refusing to take off the figure eight, and then Tiffany Stratton came down and made the save, and they end up having this big, long, pull-apart brawl. So much so that it even went into... It passed, because we had like a recap after that of Drew McIntyre cutting a promo about Damian Priest, and which actually kind of like reminded me of a few things. So it kind of like clicked, like, okay, there is a better reason than there is a better reason for this match at WrestleMania than just being just a match to the two of them on the card. No, because Drew has a point. How Damian Priest has benefited every time Drew has gotten screwed over the past year. Going over how he got screwed at WrestleMania 40 last year. He won the world title, and then CM Punk took him out and caused Damian to cash in. Clash at the Castle. He was fighting Damian Priest, and then Punk got involved again and screwed him. Won Money in the Bank with the cash in. He got screwed over again. So he thinks that, like, Damian Priest is kind of like that thorn in his side, and he's trying to get rid of it, basically. But even after we had that promo there, while Miz is getting ready to start Miz TV, Charlotte and Tiffany are still brawling on the entranceway. And then Tiffany also does diving senton off the balcony, on the stage, which was also pretty nice, of course. So yeah, a nice pull-apart brawl there. And then the Miz was going to have a Miz TV segment, but then Cody Rhodes basically just came out and he just beat up the Miz and basically said, I'm not going to talk to anyone who isn't John Cena. He'll see him on Monday. So, yeah, no point in really doing that again if it's not going to do anything. So, nice way to kind of alternate that, I guess. But, yeah, we're finally getting that on Monday. Nick Aldis has a chat with Shinsuke Nakamura, who wants a rematch. But Aldis said, based off of how he behaved during the match last week with the use of weapons and, of course, the mist into Charles Robinson's eyes, he said he's lucky he's not suspended. Damian Priest rolls up and demands to know where's Drew McIntyre, and Aldis said he's not here, he left the building. Shinsuke, though, grumbles in Japanese, and that sets up for a match with Damian Priest and Shinsuke Nakamura. Which, again, I'm surprised, because like I said at the beginning of the review, even though there's not a lot of depth on this SmackDown roster, again, every single time they give Shinsuke Nakamura a mid-card title, they do absolutely nothing with him. So, honestly, I'm kind of at the point where it's I'm not going to get excited over if they give him some rubs here and there again. Because until they actually do something very serious, not just do a character change, and then he does nothing with it, I'm not going to be... I'm just not invested in Shinsuke right now. I'm sorry. Damian Priest... Well, before they had their match, they did have a vignette for a mysterious luchador, which a lot of people are saying it could be for Rey Fenix, which could be. And of course, as everybody's saying also, is a lot of people are saying that the biggest reason why AEW screwed up with the Lucha Bros is because they did give them their time to shine as single stars. They were just considered a tag team. So maybe starting them on separate brands when Rey Fenix, I think because Rey was granted his release from AEW recently. Starting on separate brands may be good for both of them to kind of get their spotlight. Also, though, gotta mention this too. SmackDown again just needs stars. So the Rey Fenix tease, and the other one, which we'll mention here shortly as well, I think are much needed talent for the SmackDown roster for sure. But yeah, Damian Priest said Shinsuke Nakamura have a match. Damian Priest wins by DQ because after Priest countered Shinsuke's Kinshasa, Drew McIntyre into the South of Heaven. Drew McIntyre jumped him and yeah, he beat down on Damian Priest, and he even blasts him with the steel steps as well. Yeah. And Drew promised also to make Damian's life a living hell and stomps him on his neck to end the segment. So, like I said, a little more story development in that. Like I said, now I'm a little more interested in that match. It'll be good. Again, especially since Drew has technically every situation he's gotten screwed with has involved Damian Priest as well. So not only did he have to try to take out CM Punk, but now he's also trying to take out the other part of the equation, and that is Damian Priest. So that looks like to be a match for WrestleMania. I mean, a year-long story, what would you think? But anyways, DIY are backstage being interviewed. Tommaso Ciampa says SmackDown is the best tag team division in wrestling. Tag team wrestling sucks these days, Ciampa, I'm sorry. But because they're on top and everyone else is trying to rise their level, Johnny Gargano says Street Profits say they want the smoke, but the title matches is more like they're going to choke. And Motor City Machine Guns roll up and says joke's on them because the entire tag team division is after them. And when they're done with the Street Profits, they have unfinished business, even though Pretty Deadly is the freaking number one contenders. Ugh! I don't understand them. I don't care for Pretty Deadly. Why are they number one contenders? I don't know. Randy Orton's backstage getting ready for his match with Carmelo Hayes. Before that match, though, we did have an interview with Chelsea Green and her new security squad, Piper Niven, and her newest crony, Alba Fire. Again, can we please just change her name back to Kaylee Ray? But anyways, she talks about the danger she faces as the longest reigning and greatest Women's United States Championship, and how the Green administration is in full force. I love this gimmick that Chelsea Green's playing. I don't think she's losing that title for a while. She's still building this stable, and she's still building a great character from this. So I love what they're doing with this. But as Zelina Vega rolls up and says, hey, I want a shot at your title. And Chelsea's like, great, you got to go through these two first, starting with Piper Niven. So Zelina and Piper have a match on SmackDown next week in Bologna, Illinois. Randy Orton takes on Carmelo Hayes. Match is fine. Randy Orton is still super popular with the crowd. Overseas, like, was it here? And then I believe also in Berlin when he had the match with Gunther. Crowd is literally singing serenading his song word for word, which of course Randy just takes it well. But yeah, Orton took on Mello. Match was good. He would then pin Mello with an RKO out of nowhere. Afterwards, though, Orton tries to show some sportsmanship, offer Mello a handshake. But then Carmelo Hayes just pie faces him and just stays all cocky and whatnot. And Orton's like, forget it. And it's another RKO again. And then it pisses him off so much that he heard that voices. And he was getting ready to do the punt. But then Kevin Owens decided to come out and pull him out and run away like a little coward. Yeah, not a fan of that part. I'm not a fan of Kevin Owens being a coward. I would rather him just be what he was doing before, except winning matches. But yeah, Kevin Owens is a coward again. Lovely. Jacob Fatu cuts a promo about him and Braun Strowman having the match next week. And then we have another smoky vignette. And number 4 appears. Is that a countdown? I don't know. Is it part of a gimmick? I don't know. But it's pretty obvious that was the Aleister Black vignette. I'm begging you. Of course, if that means 4 weeks, maybe Aleister Black's coming back in 4 weeks. If that's the case. I don't know. But all I can say again, I'm going to beg WWE. I beg you. If you are in fact, which seems like it, bringing back Aleister Black. Please give him back Root of All Evil. When he comes back, I want to hear either boo 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 boo, like all that, or if you want to cut straight to the oh yeah, no man is ever truly good. If you want to bring that back, bring back Root of All Evil. No man is ever truly good. No man is ever truly evil. Bring back the Dark Priest. Whatever you want to do, please. When you bring back Aleister Black, give him that song. Give him that song. You want to make a superstar immediately again? Bring back that song. I cannot wait if Aleister Black truly is coming back to WWE. That would be awesome. Because AEW screwed him up. I mean, I wouldn't say they screwed him up, but they fumbled and then they didn't give him the opportunities. Malachi Black, House of Black, that should have been like a takeover stable. That should have been one truly taking over the company. Malachi Black should have been AEW World Champion. But they just gave them a bland trios titles run, and that was it. Like, really, the best thing Malachi did while in AEW was his first feud with Cody. Heck, you could bring it back in, because Cody has technically never beaten Aleister Black, but, you know, then again, Cody Rhodes will hopefully be dropping the title to John Cena at WrestleMania, as he should, but just saying. But anyways, then we have Gunther making an appearance, which at first I'm like, why is Gunther here if he's on Raw, the transfer window shut? But the promo he cut, I'm going to kind of forgive it. He said, the road to Mania starts here, and he has only one wish, that they were in Madrid instead of Barcelona. But the real reason he's here is to prove a point. He knows everybody loves Jey Uso because he's wasting his time dancing amongst you and waving his hands like an idiot to entertain you. But once the bell rings, there's no substance to him. But he knows here in Spain, there's a kid, making a reference to a certain somebody. And they call him the best wrestler out of Spain. One of the most promising talents in WWE. But he's going to also prove that as well doesn't mean a damn thing. And that's because one half of the NXT Tag Team Champions, we just talked about him from Axiom in the NXT Roadblock review, had an excellent performance against the Hardy Boys this week. But Axiom from NXT, who formerly was known as A-Kid, which is why Gunther made that A-Kid reference from earlier's promo, because he wrestled as A-Kid in NXT UK. But Axiom, who again is from Spain, made an appearance on this show, basically having his first technical main roster match. This is not an official call-up though, for sure. But he wrestled Gunther. Gotta say, probably the best match of the show. And again, look, I know this storyline with Gunther and Jay. I know some people have had complaints about it and how, you know, they don't think Jay should get in the spot. Like I keep saying, I do feel like if they really want to prove that Jay's not getting a fluky win out of this, they should make their match at WrestleMania 2 out of 3 falls. But yeah, Axiom, like the match, because in recent weeks in the build to Mania, Gunther, despite the fact I feel like he's cooled off since he lost to Cody at Crown Jewel, he's been having some really good matches and making some people look really good, like Akira Tozawa. Heck, the match he had with Otis last week, I thought was awesome on Raw. And then on, well, 2 episodes of Raw ago. And then against Axiom, he made Axiom look awesome. I mean, I always knew A-Kid, Axiom was a great talent, but he went toe-to-toe really well with Gunther. Crowd, of course, hot for the whole show, but very hot for Axiom. Unfortunately, though, Gunther was able to get the power bomb on him and win the match. Afterwards, he also did his sleeper hold, getting him to pass out, but he still made Axiom look $1 million. That was a nice treat. Like I said, I will somewhat forgive them for breaking the brand split right here, because they giving this. I mean, I don't know who else they would have given it to, but obviously, you know, Gunther being from Berlin, wherever he's from. I'll give him this. I'm fine with him making his appearance on SmackDown here, but that was probably my favorite match of the show. And Axiom had a great performance again. He's gonna be. I mean, we talk about, of course, Penta and Rey Fenix coming in, which is gonna be the best things for luchador wrestling. Don't sleep on Axiom either. Of course, Dragon Lee, even though he hasn't had a chance to have much of a spotlight yet, Dragon Lee is awesome. Again, Axiom. We've kind of moved past from Santos Escobar, if I'm being honest. Like, he feels like a low card act now. So, if you want to give Axiom a spot when he gets to the main roster and he splits with Nathan Frazier at some point, by all means, he deserves it. So, I will look forward to seeing that. We have a commercial, a recap about the steel cage match with Seth Rollins and CM Punk and Roman Reigns getting involved. Paul Heyman got involved in the ring, did his usual introductions. He basically was there just to hype up the 2K25 video game and Roman being on the cover. But he also mentions how, Seth Rollins and CM Punk have seemingly gotten involved and become the problem with Roman Reigns, blah, blah, blah. And Roman Reigns will be there on SmackDown next week. Surprisingly, not Raw, but he'll be on SmackDown, even though both Punk and Rollins are on Raw. Who knows? They're probably going to be breaking that fourth wall too. Who knows? But anyways, Street Profits run into Legado del Fantasma, wish them luck, and they says that Los Garza will take the titles off of them. Even though, once again, are we forgetting that Pretty Deadly is the ones who get the next title shot? Again, we'll talk about the tag team division again in a second, reiterate things. Before the main event, though, we had Gunther run into Jimmy Uso backstage. He mentions how he just choked out Axiom, left him laying like a wet towel, and asked Jimmy to convince Jay to step down from their match at WrestleMania so he doesn't have to hurt him. But Jimmy says he's got this thing backwards because he check this out, Us. At WrestleMania, the ring general drops rank and he drops his title. Yeet! And then Gunther apologizes and goes, I must have been mistaken about your maturity. I'm really tired of all this. And he walks away. Main event, DIY versus Street Profits. Again, good match. But again, it's just not just SmackDown. I mean, I would still say SmackDown has the better tag team division than Raw. But remember when I said the other week about how there's just some people that Triple H is trying to, figure out that may just be damaged goods and needs to move on from them? Yeah, these tag team divisions, they need something fresh in them. Because, again, although I love DIY, again, I still feel like even though they've had their spurts here and there where I feel like that they're getting somewhere different, it still feels like to me that they're just being booked off nostalgia. And it's not really allowing the people who didn't watch them in NXT to get to know them. And I feel like that they're just still ice cold. Street Profits, not sure if they're face or heels, but this new character is more interesting. And I still think it's insane also that it's been 4 years since the Street Profits have held the tag titles? Too long. But good news here is they did win the tag titles here. Now, of course, Pretty Deadly get the next title shot. Please don't have a WrestleMania match be Pretty Deadly versus the Street Profits. I still would rather have the Street Profits versus DIY versus the Motor City Machine Guns in a TLC match. But they'll probably throw in Pretty Deadly and Los Garza just so nobody's left out, right? Lovely. But that was SmackDown. I can't complain. Again, they did some good things. There were some things that were just meh, and they were whatever. Nothing really horrible on the show. I gave it a B. I gave it a generous B, also because of the crowd. Of course, I will be changing the graphic here to the Street Profits being tag team champions. It's been a long time since they've. Well, then again, I wasn't doing all champions for graphics back then, but yeah, I'll have that update for next week, and yeah, I definitely looking forward to tomorrow's Raw, which I technically could watch when I get home from work if I want to, because Raw is airing live on Netflix at 3 o'clock our time, 8 o'clock Belgium time. So I am very excited, of course, about that first John Cena heel promo. We'll see, of course, how that goes. So yeah, this coming week, like I said, this coming week, be back to normal with Raw review live, and of course a SmackDown review. Again, the following week we will just have a Raw review, no SmackDown review, and the following week, no Raw review, but we'll review SmackDown, and after that we'll get back on track until WrestleMania. And I did post some more baseball highlight videos. It's going to be a bit till I post more because I am just going to dedicate a little more time. And even when I go away, if I do get any free time, and I'll be editing right now, besides squeezing in a 24 review, which I may go watch the next one after this review. But I am going to continue to work on the best and worst match videos of each year of me as a full-time wrestling fan. And yeah, hopefully you'll start seeing some of those in the next few months. We'll see, though, of course, where we go with that. So once again, guys, as always, what are your guys' thoughts on SmackDown this week? Gave it a B. Also, your thoughts, of course, on Lillian Garcia no longer being the full-time ring announcer anymore. It'll be appearing on Saturday Night Live and doing other projects behind the scenes of WWE. And also, of course, the teases for Fenix and Aleister Black as well. You've got thoughts again down in the comment section below. Slap a like on the video and subscribe for more content on my channel. Follow me on Twitter as well, The Club of the Man 93. Also follow me on TikTok and on Instagram, The Club of the Man 1993. And until then, guys, I'll check it out. I'll catch you all later. Have a great rest of your day, and do not forget, in order to be superior to the man, you've got to be the man. And for I am the man himself. And that is not just an opinion, my friends. That is a fact of life. Yeah!